It's a Wednesday night in Osaka, here in Japan. Here I am heading to a supermarket, but not the one just in the shop there. I'm heading to the one next door, which is newly opened up. This one just on my right now is called Raifu, and I've been to it in previous videos. I think the first video I put on this channel, when I first arrived at my apartment, I went to this supermarket and I've used it a few times. It's great. The prices are quite reasonable. The only thing that isn't is the fruit and veg. I find it a bit expensive. But today we're going to this place. You can see it just on the right there. It's called Niku no Hanamasa. I don't really know anything about it other than when I arrived, it was still being fitted out inside, so it wasn't open yet. But it is now, so it's opened in the last maybe week or 10 days. And it's been really busy every time I've walked past because obviously people are interested in a new supermarket in their neighborhood. So I thought, let's go in and give it a try tonight. The little subtitle there, for professional plus for consumer, and the casing on it has made me laugh. They obviously didn't get a native speaker to check that. But yeah, it's called Niku no Hanamasa. Niku means meat. So just grab a basket. And then we're off. And I've got my shopping list with me. If you can read Japanese, you might be able to see some of the things I'm planning on buying today. Let's see if we manage to get any of them, all of them. So my first impression was that the fruit and veg does look a bit more rough and ready, which I don't have a problem with because, like I said, sometimes in other supermarkets they can try and give you the best of the best. Like persimmons there, 128 yen per persimmon. That's not too bad at all. Whereas in other supermarkets, I think I showed you in one of my other videos the other day, it was nearly 1,000 yen for 2 persimmons. Just picked up some bananas there. So it's good to find a supermarket where things are perhaps a bit cheaper. I mean, they're still not as cheap as back in the UK for fruit and veg, but that's just a problem you're always going to find with Japan. As you can see, they do have a really good selection. I did have some broccoli on my shopping list, so that goes into the basket. And then in front of us here, we've got the Napa cabbage, I think it's called in English, hakusai, which means white vegetable, but it refers to that specific type of cabbage. And then the mini tomato, cherry tomatoes, they're not too bad at 298 yen. So into the basket, there you go as well. Cucumbers and aubergine, or eggplant for all you American viewers. And then we've got some more cabbages in the style that we're used to in the West. Some onions, some potatoes, garlic, sweet corn, and then we're coming around to the pumpkins and the sweet potato, carrots. I do actually need some sweet potato, satsumaimo, you might have seen that on my shopping list. 248, it says ippon, so for one sweet potato. Still not that cheap, to be honest. So I turned around and I saw some pumpkin, some kabocha, and I thought, similar to sweet potato, and that seems a bit cheaper at 158. So let's go for that. It's good to have it cut up. Pumpkins can be a real nightmare to get into sometimes. You need something like an axe rather than a kitchen knife to cut them up. And then here we've got all the pickles. So the pickled ginger, pickled radish in massive packs. And yeah, I think I'm starting to get the impression that on the front of the shop it said for consumer plus for professional. Actually, this brand says puro shio, so that means kind of like for professional or professional method, professional means. So I don't know, maybe this supermarket kind of evolved out of supplying to, I don't know, restaurants or something like that. Also, this is konnyaku. I've also spoken about this in a previous video. It's like, I don't actually know what it is. It's like a jelly-like kind of meaty tasting big block. Natto, we do need that. That was on my shopping list. But yeah, mate, and then looking at all the meat here, maybe it is for shops and it's a place for them to come and buy in bulk. That's the impression I'm getting anyway. But it also says for consumer, and I am a consumer. I'm not a professional. Not when it comes to cooking anyway. But yeah, here's all the meat. So it's in the name, Niku no Hanamasa. None of that for me today. But at least you got a quick taste of what they've got on offer. Here is something I do eat though. I was really pleased to see this because this is like authentic curry all on one shelf. So what have we got here? We've got the chana masala curry. So chana is like it's like chickpeas, isn't it? And then they've got little pots of rice that you can put in the microwave as well. Saffron raisu. So if you wanted curry for dinner, you could just buy a pot of rice and one of these. This one says Madras Renchiru Curry. So lentil madras curry. And then we've got the more Thai style green curry rather than the Indian ones. But yeah, I thought that was cool to see, and I'm sure I'll come back here. And if I fancy a proper curry for tea rather than a Japanese style one, then I know where to get it. We've got all the seasoning here, all the herbs and spices. You're probably getting the impression this isn't the biggest supermarket, so they've not got everything, but they've kind of got the essentials, and everything's laid out really neatly. You've got shredded garlic and ginger in these bottles, and then you've got kind of seasonings and chili, and then we've got stock cubes up on the top shelf here, consomme, and stock for making soup, which is good to see. Then over here, this got me excited for a little bit. I saw Heinz and then that colour tin, which is the colour tin that we have for baked beans back in the UK, but it's not baked beans, it's white sauce. Bit disappointed, but I would have been very surprised to see just tins of baked beans on the shelf in Japan. That just doesn't happen. You have to go to the import shop and pay a fortune for something that's relatively cheap back home. This is kind of, I guess, like the Vietnamese kind of Thai shelf with the chili sauces and the rice. Did you call it rice paper for making like spring rolls? Then this is, we've got the meat down at the bottom again, and then some like Japanese sauces on the top, and then we've got sugar and salt, and then down at the bottom we've got furai type stuff, so like deep fried meats and fishes, and then these are big tubs of miso. Now it's interesting, isn't it? You know, back home in the UK, perhaps when we buy miso, we buy a small jar of it, but here obviously they get through it like nobody's business, so you get them in really big tubs, like the equivalent of a margarine tub. That's mirin. I think that's sweet rice vinegar, used a lot in Japanese cooking. Again, you can get it at home, but it'll be in a small bottle. And then this is like the Japanese shelf. Bottom left, we've got like blocks of mochi, and then furikake in the top right, which is like a seasoning kind of thing that you put on your rice, just to give it some flavour, maybe some seaweed and some spices and things like that. Some more Japanese dessert type stuff up top, but down at the bottom in the freezer we've got crab and seafood. But it was cool to see this. It's goma is sesame seeds, and it's, you get black sesame seeds, right? So that's just a big jar of black goop. I'll probably buy that at some point in the future. It just looks so cool. It's like tahini but black. Obviously you can get the standard brown version as well, which was next to it. Then we've got all the noodles, soba, and then the instant noodles, instant ramen, cup noodles, that kind of thing. Then up top here we've got a lot of seaweed, and then down at the bottom we've got more things like shrimp. And then I spied some hotate, and I know that word, it's scallops, because I used to work in Aomori, and I had a second look actually because it said Aomori on the bag. So those scallops are from where I used to live. I used to work for the city hall, so I know a lot about scallops. And then we've got bags of you know, things like very small shrimp, and then we've got katsuobushi, so they're like flakes of tuna up top. They're very popular in Japanese food. If you ever see things with flakes on the top, it's generally that stuff. And then we've got the sake. Now we're in the alcohol section. Sake packaging is always really traditional, but really bright colours. I like the look of it. And then we've got the whiskey here. Still mostly Japanese brands there. And then we've got all the beer and the chuhais, which are like kind of flavoured I don't know how to describe them. They're like sour cocktails with fruit flavours in, I guess. And then we're coming around, oh, we've got the peanut butter in kind of plastic tubs rather than jars like back in the UK. And then the jams, but that does come in jars. And then the massive packs of rice, 5 kilogram bags. Which again, you know, back in the UK we get small bags, don't we? But here, huge bags of rice. And then we're in this kind of more cracker snack section, some tortillas there. Good to know I can get them here down in the freezer. But up top we've got like senbei, and that was on my shopping list, but they're expensive at 358 yen for some senbei. You know, at Life I think I got them for about 100 yen. I mean, there might be better quality here, but I didn't grab them because it was just a bit too much. I know I can get them for cheap elsewhere. And then I came down this aisle, which had all the cereals on, the granolas and things like that. But as you might have seen, people were kind of queuing in this section, so it's a bit hard to be browsing when people are trying to queue in the same space. Some cheesy snacks there. Let's have a look down this aisle. Not really anyone queuing. So we've got down at the bottom in the freezer section, we've got some kind of like fried rice type things that are frozen, which you can just heat up. And then up top we've got tinned fruit, tinned sweet corn, and then this made me happy to see beans, yeah, tins of beans, because you can't always get these in Japan, and I eat a lot of these black beans. Yeah, they're going in the basket. Because I think I reach, yeah, you'll see. So sometimes Japan sells beans in smaller tins like that, or sometimes they're even smaller than that. And you can't always get what I would call a normal sized tin like this one. But it's good to see them. These chickpeas, again, not always the easiest thing to get, whereas in the UK, you know, very cheap. You can get them anywhere. I wanted to grab one of these tins, but they all had massive dents in. That's why I'm picking them up and kind of putting them back. And yeah, there wasn't one I could find without a dent, and I don't like to buy tins with dents in. So, no chickpeas for me today. Hopefully they can sort out their tin handling game the next time I'm back. You see that corned beef, and then we've got some tuna chanku up top in the middle there, chunks of tuna. I do like that packaging, it's very basic, but it's kind of cool. And then olive oil up top, and then down at the bottom we've got frozen vegetables here. Really nice selection actually. I'm definitely going to come back and get some frozen veg. We've got some diced avocado down the bottom, and then up top we've got kind of like the flours, especially flours for making things like takoyaki and okonomiyaki, which are very popular. They're kind of like the foods of Osaka, so very popular around here. Just going to get my shopping list out again, and we're at the nuts section. I didn't have nuts on my shopping list, but I did want some. Mixunatsu, 578 yen, not the cheapest, but we'll take them for now. One slightly annoying thing is, in fact I've found this in pretty much every other country apart from the UK, it's hard to get nuts that aren't roasted. In the UK I can find them really easily, but everywhere else I seem to go, they seem to want to roast all their nuts. Crackers. I think in the absence of senbei, I chose to get some crackers. Some standard kind of Western style crackers. I think it said saltine crackers. Not that I know what that is, I've just heard it. I think it's an American thing. Very bright in this section, but I managed to find some shredded cabbage, which is becoming something I eat most days at the moment. Just consulting the list again. I think we had most things at this point. And then in this section, kind of like the fresh noodles. And then here we've got eggs. So like the fresh eggs, and then at the top like eggs in like soy sauce and things like that, which are very popular here in Japan and in most Asian countries, I think. And the milk and yogurt stuff, which I don't need. So I think we're going to head down and have a look at the osozai, which are the side dishes or the prepared meals. So here we've got yakisoba and some kare, and then some katsu type stuff on rice, and then kind of what you call bento, I guess, with karaage, And then we're getting over to the korokke. I spotted some Yasai korokke, some vegetable korokke. Really cheap, 180 yen. They're going in the basket. And then kind of the bread snacks, the sweet bread stuff, and the manju. You can see pizza man there. Manju with pizza filling inside. Onigiri in the top left. Rice with seaweed on the outside. Yeah, don't need any of that stuff today. I kept coming back to this section, seeing if I could see any senbei that I wanted, but there just weren't any really cheap ones, which was unfortunate. But these weren't too bad. They're not senbei, but they're kind of like ebi flavoured twirls. So go on then. They're going in the basket. Excuse me. Thank you. And then there was no one here now, so I could have a look down this aisle. Down there we've got some hummus, which you don't always see in Japan. So got some kind of Western style foods in this place, which is nice. And then some standard potato chips, so nori shio, like seaweed. So yeah, go on, nice big bag. And then the checkout guy called me over.
Please, yes.
Nice of him to ask me in English.
Yeah, if you think all that can fit.
And then I kind of replied that, well, if it will all fit in one, I just need one. And then I don't think he understood that. But nice for the effort. And I think he was a new employee. I think he was kind of getting trained by this other woman. There's not normally two people standing like that. And it is cool how they put everything into the basket really neatly for you. That woman was just rearranging it there. I do think it's always a shame though, because I have to go and put it into a plastic bag after this. But it looked nice for about a minute or so. Don't think the woman really wanted to speak to me. I think sometimes when they get the impression, well, when they figure out that you're a foreigner, they just kind of, they don't treat you the same as a Japanese customer, let's put it that way. They don't really say anything. Probably not rudeness, just they assume you can't speak the language. Even though I had said something to her in Japanese. Anyway, there we go. Paid by card and we're done. And over to the packing area to rearrange everything into my bag. It won't look as neat as that once I'm done with it. But there we go. Put the korokke in. Keep hold of the receipts because I'm going to go through the haul when I get back. The kimchi just didn't fit in the bag. So I'll hold that in my hand, and all we need to do is return the basket, and we're done at Niku no Hanamasa. Nice to know this place exists. Let's head back to the apartment and see what we've got. Okay, let's take a look at the haul I've just got from Niku no Hanamasa Plus. First thing, second most expensive item on the list. Hakusai kimchi. So hakusai is that big white cabbage that we saw in the vegetable section. That'll last me a good couple of weeks, probably that much kimchi. Potato chips, nori shio, so seaweed salt. This brand, I do like the packaging. It says puro shio. It's like pro means or pro method, I guess. A lot of the stuff was that brand, as you probably saw in the supermarket. And then we've got some prawn flavoured kind of twirls, crisps basically, chips. Some saltine cracker. I don't actually know what saltine means. I think that's more of an American thing. But I think it's just like a salted cracker. Mixunatsu, I think the first two kanjis there must mean roasted. So that was the most expensive thing I bought today, the roast nuts. Fresh broccoli. Natto from Hokkaido. Some banana. Some beans. Nice proper big can of beans there. Some korokke, croquet. Vegetable croquet. I'm going to eat them shortly. Pumpkin, kabocha. I got that instead of sweet potato. Some mini tomato. And then some shredded cabbage. And if we look at the receipt, all that came to 3,505 yen, which is about £17. My first impression is that this is actually a little more expensive than the Life supermarkets I've been going to, which is a bit surprising because when you look at the packaging like that, you kind of think it's a bit more of a budget range. Also, they didn't have as much choice, so maybe that kind of influences the price because they've not got. I often choose the cheapest options, I guess. But yeah, my feeling is that this is not quite as cheap as the places I've been going, Life and Central Square Life. We're going to do a taste test of the food and see how it tastes. But it's still not bad at all. 3,505 yen, £17. It's about what I'd expect to pay at a supermarket in the UK, probably. So, still not a loss. So, time to do the natto. If you've never seen this, you're in for a treat. Very polarizing food. It comes with this tare, which is like a sauce. So it'd be pretty dry without it. So we'll just put some of this on. And then in some brands, you get the mustard. I always like to see the mustard. Obviously gives it a bit of a tang. So it's soybeans. And then what we do is we just start to mix it, and the more you mix it, these are really big ones, big beans, but it gets really sticky. Neba neba. And as you can see, this kind of thing might already put a lot of people off, but it's kind of an acquired taste. And the more you mix it, the more it just gets all glutinous and stringy like that. So let's give it a quick taste actually. That is nice. Very tasty. So I've also just got a bowl of shredded cabbage. And then I've got my korokke. As you can see, they were made today at 2 in the afternoon. So very fresh. It just says to eat them before 6 tomorrow, but I'm going to eat them now. And then I've got my big tub of kimchi. Just love how red it is. And I could smell it before I'd even taken the lid off when I took the plastic wrapping off. So look at that. Smells really good. So if you don't know, this is spicy fermented cabbage. I feel like everyone knows what kimchi is these days. But yeah, this is my very easy but fairly healthy meal from Niku no Hanamasa. No Niku here though. So shredded cabbage, I won't report too much on that because it's just shredded cabbage. The natto is nice, really tasty. Let's try some of the kimchi. A big tub. I hope I like it because there's plenty of it. Yeah, really salty, really garlicky, really crunchy, just really strong. Oh yeah. So I think most Japanese people probably, or Korean people would eat this with rice, but I'm eating it with shredded cabbage. So far so good. So let's try the korokke. You do usually heat these up, but as I always say, I don't really bother. And yeah, they're nice enough. Standard vegetable croquet, really. Lots of potato in there. Bit of sweet corn. Some other random vegetables if you're lucky. So there we go. Cheap and cheerful, basic meal from Niku no Hanamasa. Yeah, these are quite nice. Bit of carrot in there as well. And I have a mouthful of all these three things together. Yeah, that's good. That's what you want. Mix everything together. You can't be careful with this stuff because it's just so addictive. that you can really burn through it, but it has got a lot of salt in. So, gotta be careful. That's why it's good to pair it with something a bit more bland. So I like that supermarket. It felt kind of like a budget supermarket inside. But, I don't know. When I saw the receipt, the prices aren't that budget. The food quality is nice. It's good. I don't know whether I'll go there all the time. I did like the fact that it seemed some of the fruit and veg seemed to be a bit cheaper. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. We'll see how I feel and what I need next time I go shopping. But it's good to know it's there. I'm glad I tried it. It was nice that that guy spoke to me in English. And yeah, I'd say that's a success. So I'm going to eat the rest of this. Hope you're having a good day. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed it, give us a like and a subscribe, and I'll speak to you soon.